on, let's go. Come on, Jamie. Nice. Oh, dude, it's good to be back, man. All right. What do you mean you have to go to the bathroom? Ah, shit. Oh. All right. Hello and welcome to Talk Heathen! My name's Eric Murphy, and Jamie is a little indisposed at the moment, but he'll be joining us soon. Today is December 9th, 2018. It is Season 2, Episode 49, and I am so happy that you're all here with us today. So, let's see. I've got a couple quick announcements before we get into calls. First is the newsletter. So it's really, really exciting. Let's see if we can get the graphic up, because this month we have a 24-page newsletter. It is fantastic. The articles are amazing. All of your favorite hosts from all of your favorite shows have been contributing to the newsletter, and the front of the newsletter was submitted by our own Caitlin Reyes. Caitlin, I see you in the chat. Thank you so much for helping, and thank you so much for contributing. I'm really excited. I actually sent it out to everybody who's already signed up for the newsletter, and if you want to get it, it is free, and the link is in the comments. So if you would like to get it and you don't see it in the comments, newsletter sign up, it's going to be at aca.activehosted.com/f/1. Hop in, check it out. It is really, really, really cool. After that, we have okay, let me slow down. Hey, Jamie.
I made it in time, just like every week. Right?
Yeah.
That's how that goes.
No worries. Actually, I was just about to talk about how we are needing clips for the Atheist Experience.
We are, yes, for the end of year review show. So if you would like to contribute to something that will be remembered for years on end about the year 2018 as far as the ACA and the Atheist Experience is concerned, you should help us find clips. The categories are
most polarizing new topic.
I know my
most
pick for that.
repeated theist talking point. Best guest appearances. Mm-hmm. I mean, us, obviously.
Yeah, I was going to say. And it's most repeated talking points this year, because otherwise you're competing with Look at the Trees and actually all of the rest of them. How many ties can there be for this category?
There will be definitive winners, I believe, but it is going to be up to our MC for the event. Our MC for the event is going to be Mr. Atheist. So if you haven't seen Jimmy, if you haven't checked out Mr. Atheist, it's a really, really awesome show. It's exploding right now, and we're really, really happy.
It's a very good show.
To work together with him. Yeah, absolutely. Facepalm of the year, most fabulous clip of the year, funniest call of the year, most heartfelt moment, most likely to make you cry, and the clip of the year. If you want to submit your favorite Atheist Experience, not Talk Heathen, the Atheist Experience clips, it's got to be about 2 minutes, and
that's the goal,
and submit it to submissions@atheist-community.org. This is ending the day after tomorrow, like the morning the day after tomorrow, on Tuesday, December 11th. So send them in quickly, send them in now. Yeah.
If you've been watching that, Eric, on the back end, you know that people have already sent in clips where it's like, I know this is Talk Heathen, but you should put it in anyway.
And it makes me really happy, yeah.
I'm like, but also,
So speaking of, I've been in the YouTube comments, and let me tell you something. There's a lot of love there. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of love.
Let me say this right now before you highlight a troll. If you highlight a troll, it will only encourage them.
No, okay. I got roasted, and I freaking love it. Yeah. Somebody said that I look like Rick Moranis was named King of the North. I love it. Is that amazing or what? I love it.
That is amazing.
I love it. That
is amazing. Yeah.
But there are some other things that people brought up. Last week, there was an awesome talk about morality with a caller. Mm-hmm. And, I didn't know a lot of things. And because of that, it really affected what I was able to talk about. I'd rather be open and say, hey, I don't know, and investigate those things than be able to slam that down. And you know what? I've been working on it, and I think that person's on the line, so we're going to be able to get to them in a little bit and get a take two. But a little bit more. We are,
what else
as
you
always,
got?
well, we're as always going to be mentioning our top 5 patrons around the middle of the show. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I mean, I just have to throw back that last weekend. I know that you heard about this. Mm-hmm. We had 2 $500 donations in the live chat. That is way more than we've ever received. Even just the individual $500 donations was amazing. One of them has become a patron. And I mean, really, the patronage keeps the lights on. It keeps us being able to do what we do and keep the ACA open. So thank you so much. I'm kind of ready to get into calls. How about you? Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
There is one thing I'd like to talk about.
What's up?
To that effect, which is that last week our show got 2 $500 donations in Super Chat. And then at the end of it, you went, haha, take that atheist experience.
Oh, yeah.
And then Matt struck back. Return of the Empire Strikes Back style. We were stuck fighting in the snowy wasteland that is Hoth, and they won. And you know what? I think we should take them on again. Let's see what we do. Let's see how we do.
I think that...
I was going to say, if we don't tell them that we might win, we should do that.
I think we already won. We already have the best viewers. We have the best audience.
That's true.
So,
but we should see if we can prove it.
Oh gosh, no! I don't want this to happen every week. No, no. I'm going to.
You classy non-sellout. Get out of here.
No, it's been amazing, and it's actually going to let us buy chairs.
Yeah.
So. All right, are we ready?
Woo! Ready for chairs? Booyah!
Ready for calls? Yeah. Let's start with Jonathan in Arizona. Jonathan, you're live with Eric and Jamie. How are you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Good.
Excellent.
Hey, John, what you want to talk about?
Well, actually, I just wanted to tell you guys what my favorite moment on the Atheist Experience is. This is an old episode, but since you guys brought it up, it made me think of it. There's a YouTube video that's 4 hours long of Matt's best moments or whatever, and I've seen it several times because it's hilarious. But one of the episodes, this guy is a theist and he was rambling on, and it was him and Jeff were the hosts that day. And in the middle of this guy's rant, he was like, "That's why I'm a solipsist." And in unison, perfect harmony, Matt and Jeff go, "You're a solipsist?"
Yeah,
I remember that.
Well, yeah, I'm a hard solipsist. You're a hard solipsist? Yeah. Then why are we talking? And then they drop it. They hang up on him at the end right there. Yeah. They go, then why are you talking to anyone?
We are looking for our favorites from this year, though.
Yeah, it is this year.
Let's but actually, Jonathan was the person who called in last week to talk about morality. And Jonathan, I've been doing some thinking and some talking to some awesome people, and I've actually got a little bit more for you, because I know you're talking about something else, but I just wanted to tell you what I've learned. Is that all right?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, perfect. Yeah, go for it.
All right. So I had been using some terms that I think can be better described, and I'm going to try and make this quick. But I saw that there's a difference between objective morality and absolute morality.
Okay.
Right. And so absolute morality, and I know Matt has talked about this in the past, but I would agree that absolute morality is not something that exists. But
okay, and what is absolute morality?
Absolute morality would be the dictate that there is one morality, that it is handed on down, that there is no question, there's no ambiguity. It is just, this is it, capital T truth. Versus
absent context.
Absent context. There you go. Thank you, Jeff.
I was going to say, maybe describe the difference between
objective morality
and absolute
would be different in that you find that thing, the metric that you're using to determine that morality, right? And so if you're setting that metric as human well-being, then you can actually come to some objective conclusions. I know I've talked about, before and after, whether or not you can know something objectively to be the best possible, situation right there at the time is impossible. But you can come to objective conclusions that way. And it just depends on what your metric is. And that actually really, really helped me out. But I wanted to share that with you. If you have anything to say on it, cool. If not, then I'd love to jump into what you wanted to talk about today.
Yeah, I guess I would agree that if you agree on what the standard is, then it's pretty easy to make an objective, know whether something was objectively moral. But I guess my lack of understanding isn't it like basically we have to come to the standard of what is going to be objective by using our subjective opinions on what that standard would be. Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying, but I would like to highlight that when you say, yes, I could understand coming to an objective conclusion based on those things, then you believe in objective morality as much as I do, I can say, and at least as much as Matt does, as far as his understanding and description, and you as well. But yes, so
yeah,
I would say that saying subjective opinion puts a category of, what is I think better described as a value statement, right? Like one thing is better than another, whether you wouldn't describe, this person is a socialist and wants a socialist government. You wouldn't describe that as, that's just your opinion. You would say, that's like a set of values that a person has. And so, yes, the values that we have are not based on using a ruler to measure the width of something and determining, yes, my values are 12 inches, or however long I'm getting some weird looks from the audience based on that statement. But I think we're on the same page. And actually, I think you called in about something else today. So we'll leave it there. But
yeah. I missed you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I did. So, again, it's probably pretty close to impossible for someone to call in with a new topic nowadays. But the idea of why there is something rather than nothing, kind of piggyback onto the Kalam. I'm sure that'll come up. But what's your guys' take on why there is a universe rather than no universe? If I'm allowed to ask that question.
Permission granted.
No,
I grant your permission.
Jamie, you want to go first?
Yeah, I think I can give like a short initial answer, and then you will probably give a more in-depth one. And then at that point, I'll probably decide that I want to say even more. So just see if I have the gift of prophecy. It's to be quite honest, it's not a question that I spend a lot of time thinking about or worrying about or that occupies me very much because I don't know that there could have been nothing or, for more on philosophical questions of nothing and how nothing can't be a thing, Google Tracy Harris on nothing and find probably 2 hours of her discussing this in various episodes. But, I don't really have a take. If you mean Big Bang cosmology, then my take is it's more complicated than I understand. And if you mean, well, why is there existence, then
Yeah. I think for me that I think why is kind of a loaded question simply because it can carry with it the it can carry with it this intentionality, right? Was there a reason? Was there intention behind, something existing? Whereas, the best answer that I have is I have no idea. And if somebody does know, right? If somebody does claim to have a good idea of that question, then I would love to hear it. A good answer to that question. I'd love to hear it. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to jump onto an assertion that I cannot back up, right? So if somebody were to say, I think that the universe is here, right? Why there is something is because a God created it. I would find that to be a baseless assertion because you would actually need to be able to back that up with evidence. And to the best of my knowledge, that hasn't happened.
Right.
To be clear, Jonathan, did you mean like what was the cause, or did you mean like, is there, like, are you trying to get to a kind of intentionality, as Eric said? Because
no, I guess I was just more interested in like what your guys' opinion on maybe why is a kind of a loaded question, like you said. But
it's not as loaded as asking who.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess is it okay just to kind of give you like my take on I
Once
guess
again,
it's my take on the Kalam.
what I will say is permission granted. It is okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you guys like subscribe to the Big Bang Theory? Like the universe has a beginning?
You know, I people tell me to check out the show, but I never do.
Yeah, I was
don't
gonna
have
say
time.
It's really good. You should.
Really?
I was gonna say I've subscribed to the podcast, but it's just unlistened to in my queue.
Do I subscribe to the Big Bang? Well, you know, I have seen what evidence has been provided, and the evidence that convinced me was being explained the redshift. And so seeing that we're in a constantly expanding universe, and if we were to track that backwards, we could see it coming all to a singular point. And that's, you know, that's what is being described when people say the Big Bang, right? So,
Right.
I mean,
So you're talking about the discovery from Penzias and Wilson, right?
you know what? That is putting me on the spot, and I have no freaking clue, man. I can pull it up if I look it up.
What I read is that the radiation afterglow was accidentally discovered by Arnold Penzias and Robert Wilson. I think it was 1965 when they were actually cleaning what they thought was causing some kind of a disturbance in their equipment. They thought it was like bird poop.
Yeah, I heard that story. Yeah.
Yeah, they cleaned it all up and it was still there, and that's when they had like inadvertently discovered it was the radiation afterglow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's pretty strong evidence of the Big Bang Theory being pretty well established, I think.
Is that the redshift or background cosmic radiation that was discovered that way? I guess it doesn't matter.
The latter.
Ah, okay.
So this is how I kind of perceive it in my mind. And if you pick out any flaws, go ahead and stop me dead in my tracks. If the universe is comprised of everything that's natural, time, space, and energy, and time, space, and energy had a point of origin, a beginning, then it seems only logical that something that is not comprised of time, space, or energy had to be the cause for the existence of time, space, energy.
Why?
Not at all.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
I mean,
I get what you're saying, but I don't see how that can make any sense.
I was going to say, I understand all of the words that you're saying.
Yeah.
But the argument when it goes, it seems only logical that something that doesn't have these qualities created this. I don't see how that would follow at all.
Yeah, I've never seen something that doesn't exist create anything.
Well, I mean,
if you're outside of time, space, or energy, and outside of doesn't even make any sense, right?
Yeah.
If you are not
outside of is a spatial relation.
Yeah, and then in that case you would still be within space, right? But if you're talking about something that does not have the qualities of anything, then I don't know, number one, how the thing that's being described could, if it existed, interact with this universe. And, when you get to that point, then it's kind of, why would you even assume that something like that existed at all?
Yeah, so Jonathan, what you've made the statement, it seems only logical that something outside of time, space...
I don't think I used the words outside of, I just said not comprised of.
Okay, so why would you say that follows logically? That something not comprised of, I think you said not comprised of matter and not space-time was in there as well. I may have jumbled some of your words, but...
Oh, no. So what I said was that if time, space, and energy had a beginning, then something
that is not made up of time, space, and energy had to be the cause of time, space, and energy. Because it can't create itself, right?
No, we don't know that.
No. So, well, one, we don't know that, but two, why would you assume that there was something there?
Yeah.
At all?
To the best of what we know about causality, that's caused by things that are comprised of
the things that we know are within
matter
the universe
that have, potential energy and that are in the time that we're in. So because of that, then using causality to justify that, it really doesn't make any sense,
Are you following what we're saying, Jonathan?
Yeah, I do. I can't say I agree with it, but maybe I don't have enough information yet.
Okay, so Jonathan, what I'm still missing is sort of how you got there, right? Well, it couldn't create itself. One, I don't think that that's something we know, but two, why would you go to something not comprised, not having those characteristics must have created this?
Well, I guess because of the how I guess I'm defining the universe, and if you disagree with my definition, I mean, you can definitely let me know where I'm going wrong. But I mean, basically, the universe is everything that's natural: time, space, energy, and matter.
Okay.
If there was a point where these things were non-existent, I mean,
here's the thing.
I guess
you also haven't. We also do not know that there was ever a time where there was non-existence of that kind.
Yeah.
Even non-existence of matter. So, for example, for someone to assert that no, this universe was created by the destruction of a previous universe that also had qualities of space-time and matter would be. I mean, again, bring me some evidence, but that idea seems more logically consistent and reasonable than cosmic
the reason I don't think that really makes a lot of sense is really just pushing the question back to, okay, well, what started that universe?
Yeah, which is why infinite regress.
So here's my problem with the infinite regress objection is that it fails. There's nothing wrong with an infinite regress at all. Human beings, our minds, do not handle infinities, whether they're small or large, very well. But infinity as a concept applies to things in reality. And I, at the present moment, don't see a reason why infinity wouldn't apply to existence.
Mm-hmm. I guess the reason why I don't think it does is because of the laws of thermodynamics.
Okay, hold on. I've seen a lot of videos of a lot of Christians who absolutely massacre what that means. So please explain to me what you know about the laws of thermodynamics, because from what I've seen, not only has it been inconsistent, but it has shown an absolute lack of knowledge of what they're talking about. Are you sure you want to talk about thermodynamics?
I guess we'll find out. Don't crucify me if I'm wrong.
Just remember, if you don't know, say I don't know. If you're parroting someone else online, have them call in, because if you're reading a script, then
I don't know.
Yeah, because if you're reading a script, then I'd rather move to somebody who wants to engage directly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what I believe I know about the laws of thermodynamics is very it's very brief. I'm not like a physicist or anything like that. The first law, I believe, says that all energy is finite. There's a finite amount of energy. And the second law is that the universe is running out of that energy, and it transfers from usable energy to non-usable energy or something like that. And the second law having to do with I can't see the word right now. Like all of the energy is going to eventually be non-usable, and the universe is going to end in what they call a heat death. And that this law applies to closed systems. And really, I think that's pretty close to what I think I know about.
Sure. So is the Earth a closed system?
I don't know. See, that's something I don't know how it's defined.
Well,
No.
it's not because of the sun.
Yeah.
And we can actually talk about energy in ways that people don't always get, right? So when you're talking about matter, matter is completely related to energy and time. I mean, these things are inextricably linked, right? And so we have potential energy that can be converted, right? And in the use of that potential energy, the laws of thermodynamics would state that, as those things interact, there's always some loss, right? But we have energy stored all over this planet from the sun in physical ways, right? So we have plants that take their energy from the sun that convert that energy into the nutrients that they need to grow, right? We have animals that eat the plants and animals that eat the other animals, right? But those are all transferring that energy that plant originally got from the sun. And so if you were to talk about fossil fuels, right, you're talking about animals that have died and that organic matter has, over a ridiculously long amount of time, become oil that we're able to burn, right? These fossil fuels that we're able to burn. That is sun energy still. Right? If people talk about renewable energy, it's all sun energy, right? But what we're doing is we're tapping in to that sun energy that is deep below the surface. But everything is constantly getting more of that energy, and we're able to use that efficiently. So, well, to the best of our ability, we can't use that efficiently.
All of that does make sense. But I mean, at some point, all of the stars are going to burn out, and there won't be any stars to create energy on, possibly life-prohibiting planets or anything like that. According to if I'm not mistaken, the second law of thermodynamics, eventually all of the usable energy will burn out. I mean, whether it's trillions of years from now, I don't know, but that's what it says, if I'm not mistaken, that one day or at some point in time, all of the universe's energy will be, burned out. So like a battery eventually runs out of energy.
I mean, kind of. I was gonna jump in and say, how can you have a day without stars? But yeah, I think it's a different law of thermodynamics, because the second one is about I think increments of energy in a closed system. But yeah, the heat death of the universe as a result of would be the result of an expanding universe and increasing entropy. Which is basically energy is the ability of something to do work, right? And those things that do work, matter, exist in space, and space is really, really big, and there's more than enough room for every particle to have, I don't even know how many cubic miles to itself. So yeah, eventually you're not going to have large clusters of those forming stars.
So,
I mean, we're far flung from why you called in.
Well, actually, let's bring it back in, right? So we talked a little bit about the laws of thermodynamics. What was the argument that you heard about thermodynamics that would be convincing in the argument that a God exists?
Not so much that a God exists, just that the universe is finite. It had a beginning, and that it kind of like what you're saying. Like this could be our universe to be the result of another failed universe or something, and that's why I brought up the second law. Is that it's kind of like the multiverse theory. We could be one universe and in billions of universes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So the second law to me precludes the infinite regress of time, space, and energy. If the universe was eternal or infinite, like earlier you said was logically possible, if that was the case, then we wouldn't, or we shouldn't be able to observe anything right now. All of the energy would, in fact, have already been burnt up, and we wouldn't even be here having this conversation. So I guess that's why.
So
I use the second law in conjunction with general relativity to demonstrate that that's the evidence that I believe. Some of the evidence that leads to the universe having a beginning, and not being potentially.
So here's what I will say:
infinite.
The universe as we know it had a beginning about, I think it's 13.5 billion years ago. However, as we know it is just things that we can conclude from observations, right? So the beginning of time may very well have been at the, point of the Big Bang is one model of it. However, when you're talking about, something created these things, and it didn't have these qualities, you're still, one, going back to an infinite regress potentiality, something which, as I understand it from this conversation, you reject as a possibility. But
No, I don't reject the possibility of infinite regress. I think it's actually there's no way to avoid an infinite regress. It's just a matter of, do I believe that infinite regress is natural or supernatural?
No, not at all. And you absolutely can avoid an infinite regress.
Yeah.
You want to know how?
Sure, go ahead.
You don't make an assertion that leads to an infinite regress. Right?
Well, can you give me an example, like what you mean?
Sure. Jamie, how did what happened at the moment of t equals 1 when we trace back to the beginning of the universe, the way that we're able to describe it? Was there causality? Were you there? How do you know what...
where t is measured in...
Time.
In Planck? Two answers. The correct one, I don't know.
Hey, that does not lead to an infinite regress, and it gives us the chance to explore.
Yes. And two, hey, here's a possibility. What if there wasn't anything that would be described as existence before that?
I have no idea.
Yep.
But again, that does not lead to an infinite regress.
Yeah.
Right? So what we're saying is, you should explore, we should explore, and we should teach our children to explore. We need to give everybody that bug, that ambition to find out. But when you trap yourself in this kind of infinite regress, when you trap yourself in an assertion that doesn't have, that isn't gotten to for good reasons, then it kind of limits your ability to explore it.
I would say don't get trapped anywhere without good reason.
Let me try and ask it this way. Is it possible that this, not is it possible? Would you agree if I said nature has always existed or nature had a beginning? Would you agree with that? Like, those are the only two possibilities.
I would not. I would say that it would be better phrased as nature has always existed or nature has not always existed. Because that, as far as using the language to create a logical dichotomy,
it's either A or not A.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if you say the nature has not always existed, that doesn't imply that nature began to exist?
It does from our understanding. Yeah. As far as the language goes. So I was just sort of giving you if you're forming a dichotomy, do it this way.
Again.
But sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you can also say nature either had a beginning or it did not.
And wait, hold on. Now I'm starting to get off base because how are we talking about nature? Because when you say nature, I think of the way we describe the world around us and how we're able to determine, how this universe around us works. And so if you're saying it exists as a thing, it exists as a concept that we use to describe the world around us, right? Nature is not something that has consciousness or will or anything else. It's just like saying, did math exist, right? We use mathematics to describe the world around us. That doesn't mean that math is something that is independent from the existence of other things. It's just a concept that we use to be able to understand things.
Hey, so Jonathan, what I would say is when you say one, yes, but agreement. But Jonathan, do you mean the natural world in as much as that's cosmos, multiverse, things that exist?
Yeah, when I say nature, what I'm talking about is just the universe and everything in it.
Okay. It's a good distinction that Eric has made, but I kind of was going along with that as an assumption and might have gotten trapped somewhere.
Just wanted to make sure we were on the same page.
So you were talking about nature or existence having a beginning or not.
Yeah, I can't understand, or at least I haven't understood how you guys are explaining it to me. How if nature at one point did not exist, and now we know that it does,
then it would have a beginning.
Obviously. It would have a beginning, yeah. So how can something that is not, how can something that is comprised of nature be what caused nature?
So in the same way that my parents that are comprised of nature created me, which is comprised of nature, things that exist in nature, interacting, creating nature is something that we know. If you're saying, oh, how could there be something that isn't composed of these materials create this? My answer would be, I don't know.
Yeah,
you've reached the end of our knowledge, and I believe to a large degree the end of the collective knowledge of the human race.
Yeah.
But I guess where I'm hazy is how you guys have told me that it's logically fallacious to say that, or maybe even just ignorant in some way to say, well, nature had a beginning, but something that is not comprised of nature is not the cause.
So,
again, we didn't say that.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a couple points there. I don't know that I wouldn't describe that as logically fallacious, even if it's not a well-supported argument. But two, we don't have a conclusion, or at least, yeah. I mean, I do my best not to speak for you, Eric, but I'm going to do it anyway. We don't have a conclusion about the beginning of the universe.
Yeah.
So,
if anything, I'm going to sarcastically say that I did it. But if
sarcastically, there's a book that says
that just exists on sarcasm. Yeah. But
available on bookshelves eventually.
We don't have a vested interest in making an assertion without following the evidence to it, and I would advise you to do the same thing.
Although, my intention of calling to talk about this wasn't to end this call with, well, I'm saying that the cause is God. My only intention is to find out, is it reasonable to believe that something that is not made of nature was the cause of nature?
No.
I would say at the present moment, based on the information that I'm aware of, I don't know.
And I would actually...
And I can't evaluate that conclusion even because I don't have enough information.
Yeah, I would say no directly. And I would say no directly because you need to be able to show what a thing that is not nature is or if that can even be a thing at all. Because if you're talking about whether or not something exists in space, then it belongs in our natural universe and therefore is of nature. And so, no, it doesn't follow to say that something that we have no idea about or could even prove or show exists at all is a reasonable conclusion for the beginning or the creation of anything else. You've got to show it first, right?
Mm-hmm. So I'm not trying to pose like a false dichotomy, but it seems like there's only two possibilities. Either nature caused its own existence, or something that is not made of nature caused nature's existence.
That is a false dichotomy.
It's not a true dichotomy because you're not presenting X or not X. And in this point, I can't actually provide a third alternative, which is it could not have been caused. Right? So our ability to understand causality is based on our observations of things in the universe as we know it. When we start talking about the universe as we don't know it, we are fundamentally at the point where we don't know it and can't get there. So
I think this is the first time I've seen a happy Matt in the front of the audience.
So here's what I will say, though, Jonathan. Because I like to learn and am also lazy, I'm going to say there's a talk that, hopefully I'll be forgiven for saying his name. I think Lawrence Krauss gave at one point that explained this, called The Universe from Nothing. Cosmos, the old one was Sagan, the new one with There's a lot of names that I'm hesitating to bring up now.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Also,
I mean, those books.
No. Here's what I will say: is you should go watch those, and you should also read A Brief History of Time, and then next week you should call back in and give us a summary of the most helpful parts of those, or which ones are most helpful, and then that way I will only have to read or watch one of those. So
and then when you want to go on a completely different topic and you want to talk about abiogenesis, go to Holy Kool-Aid's site. He has the Story of Life series, and it kind of does its best to describe what we know about abiogenesis and evolution, which is fun, but unrelated, but fun.
Smaller scale.
Yeah. All right, man.
So, Lawrence Krauss's book, A Universe of Nothing, I actually have read, and he describes nothing from a physics point of view, which is not the actual definition of nothing, which is the absence of anything. He actually has a definition of how physics use the term nothing. So it really didn't help with my understanding of pretty much this entire topic.
Well, so did you consider the possibility that the nothing that he describes there is the thing that you're looking for? Like, if you're looking for a nothing beyond that nothing, then again, we're even a step further beyond the point where we don't know.
No, because it seems like in order to basically redefine the word nothing, we're no longer talking about the same thing. So it's not. He lists, the properties of what nothing is, and nothing has no physical properties because that means it has something to it. So it's kind of like semantics, the entire book, really.
Well, I mean,
not to impugn Krauss. I mean, he's actually, I live in Arizona. He's, the head of, if I'm not mistaken, the Cosmology department at ASU. I actually have seen him and Richard Dawkins in person at a event. They made a documentary called The Unbelievers, and I went to that event, and it was really my best friend is an atheist, so he and I went together, and it was really interesting to go to. But again, to use the word nothing and redefine what it actually means, and put it into physics terms, and then change the meaning of it, it didn't really accomplish. It didn't help me in trying to understand.
So here's what I will say, Jonathan, is we're probably going to move on in maybe 2.5 minutes at most, a little bit, because I think we've covered this topic. However, because you've now referred to this as redefining nothing a couple of times, I have to ask, redefining it from what? What does nothing mean?
The absence of anything.
Okay. I mean,
this is so far outside of my wheelhouse.
So to be clear, even in a potential, there's a thing that doesn't have the qualities of the universe that is the cause of the existence of the universe as we know it, that's not nothing.
Right, and no, I didn't say that. That's why I was specific in using the word what is comprised of nature, time, space, energy, the universe, stuff like that.
So,
because eventually, obviously, it's going to come down to, yes, I believe that something that is not natural caused what is, nature to begin.
Yeah. Okay. And if you can come up with a good reason to believe something that doesn't have any
evidence,
either evidence
my epistemology
or qualities or anything measurable or anything like that, I would love to hear it on the next time you call, because that seems like exercising. I mean, really, it doesn't feel like it would go anywhere at all. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It doesn't go anywhere at all. No, I guess I misunderstood you.
Oh, sure. So what I'm saying is that if I'm making the assertion, hey, I believe in a thing that doesn't have any physical properties, that is not in time and has no potential energy or any energy at all, then you're defining something that, to the best of our knowledge, is excluded from existence entirely. And so if you're saying you need to make a choice between whether something is natural or unnatural, I think that's a really nice way of saying that I'm going to accept that something without these basic qualities is in existence. And that just doesn't. I don't think that's supported by anything. You're going to get nowhere with that, right? I mean, I can think in my head of something, that tangentially, could exist outside of existence, and try and give it to you, but you're not going to accept my claim unless I can actually show you some evidence that that's even possible, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
That's like me saying I have a time machine out back and I went to the beginning of the universe and I created the universe, right? You're not going to accept that because you would want to see the time machine, right? You're not going to accept a claim that, to the best of our knowledge, can't exist without the kind of evidence that would be required, especially something that big.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I agree with you. I understand.
Awesome, man. Dude, I like you.
Jonathan, you're the best.
Yeah.
All right.
John, I think we're going to move on to the next caller. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
All right. But you take care, all right?
Hey, you guys, it was great talking with you as usual.
Yeah. Go do your homework and we'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. All right. Who do you want to take
he
next?
didn't get to reply that he wasn't going to do it. I will just expect him to do my homework for me. It's great.
What do you want?
I mean, his homework.
All right. Then I'll take it.
Yeah.
Mo in South America. Mo, you're live with Eric and Jamie. Hi.
Hey.
Hi, how are you?
Good. What would you like to talk about?
I want to talk about how religion affects disabled people. Even though that I hate the word disabled, that is what I'm using.
Okay. Walk us through this.
Like, I'm disabled since I was 10 years old. And who better to talk about this topic than a disabled person, right?
Sure.
Okay. Well, this is the points that I wanna speak about. It is first of all, let me just tell you a little bit about myself, and then to put you in context. Okay. So I have what it's called a malformation in the left thalamic part in my brain.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Which means that I suffered from seizures that made me faint.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the main reason why do I accept God as my savior, because I have nobody else to love me. And so then, God is the only one who loves me, if I'm born normal or if I wasn't born normal, right?
I mean, I understand the words that you're saying and the idea that you're expressing, but I strongly disagree with it at every turn.
I think he might as well. Are you saying that, maybe I'm just reading into it. Mo, are you saying that it is a Christian tactic to make someone who, was born in a different way, feel like no one will love them and sell them on the idea that God will? Or are you saying that? Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Sorry. For a moment, I thought you were telling me no one loves me but God because of this thing, and I was very much like, well, this is going to be a really, really heavy call, and we're all going to cry at the end of it because, no, you're wrong.
but I think you already know that that's
yeah, okay.
Yeah, that is really fucked up, man.
Yeah, so the main reason, and I'm retired due to my illness, right? And the thing was that I was ready to give 60 million pesos to the church that I was going to.
Wow.
Yeah, because apparently God doesn't have money.
Hey.
just that out.
Everybody's got bills to pay.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to foot somebody's got to foot all the
he has
lawsuits.
a second home that he only uses for people he doesn't like, so he's got to...
somebody's got to pay for all the lawsuits with the Catholic Church right now.
Yeah.
So the thing is that I've apart from the fact that I was feeling I have so much love from my family.
Mm-hmm.
I felt so lonely inside. So God was the only one who professed that kind of love that I was needing at that time.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm an atheist. I've been.
Congratulations.
Woot woot.
Yeah. Thank you. So, like for example, the Ten Commandments doesn't describe like morality as it is, right? And well, that is the thing, because disabled people doesn't know any better, doesn't know like how can we cope these laws that we have, like whether it is like a guy in a wheelchair or a guy that suffers from headaches. We don't know how to cope with that kind of thing.
Yes, and if you want to go way down the rabbit hole, I'll just address it, right up front, and that is that I've worked in special ed, and I've worked with a lot of amazing people who were born not neurotypical, who need help, right? And a lot of those people need to be able to rely on others who are expected to be good stewards of their safety and well-being, right? And so if you're, addressing it from the position of somebody who requires that kind of stewardship, then what I would say addressing that is that if a church is going to tell somebody, no one loves you, including us apparently, right? Or nobody can love you the way that God can, right? When I was in church, we talked about this kind of love, the agape love, right? This endless love that has no conditions and is just eternal.
Agape?
Agape love. And
Dory's escape.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But anyway, the reason why, we talked about that is because when I was in it, it was the thought that, yeah, God loves you regardless, and God cries every time you aren't being close to them. But now on the outside, I recognize that that's actually painfully wrong. Because if you love somebody, you would be a good steward. And if a God is behaving in such a way that they didn't exist at all, right? If it's impossible to tell whether or not that God exists, then that God cannot be loving or is impotent, because you could not have that kind of love and be a good steward.
I would add something to what you said. It's just that God in the Bible is not loving. It is so not loving.
Well, it depends. You can cherry pick. You can talk about the God of the Old Testament, or you can bring up John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believeth in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. And you can just go on and on and on. We can bring out quotes, but yeah, it's cherry picked. I wouldn't lean on that, because you don't know from Christian to Christian.
Yeah, I know. Because this topic has so much philosophy, has so much I am currently in so much problems due to that I'm an atheist right now, and here my whole family is Catholic.
Yeah.
And and plus I'm ill, and I do need surgery because I have scoliosis, and I have so many issues with it. And then my mom is just telling me oh, you should trust God. You should trust God. God has the only true way. So I was saying no, no.
Okay, so...
No, come on.
Yeah.
It's sort of hey, in your religion, who gave me scoliosis?
Yeah, exactly.
But
so God has gave me a scoliosis to prove that he exists. That doesn't make sense.
Well, it would if that God was an asshole. But
Yeah.
But Mo, I would, and I'm actually, just based on the way you've talked about that, pretty sure that you would agree with me. But just for anybody who's watching, if somebody you love is saying something like that, more often than not, they're uninformed, right? But they're trying to give you the best answers that they know or that they think they know, right? So I had somebody who really, really cared about me. I lost my keys, and they said, you need to pray to this saint, and you'll find your keys. They weren't trying to say, fuck you. They were trying to say, this is what has worked best for me, And in a lot of ways, I've met people who have said, God bless, out of habit, because for them it's shorthand for I love you. And so, for a lot of people, who are watching this, it's not coming from hate most of the time. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's coming from, just trying to jab at you. But a lot of times it takes a lot of empathy from the atheist to be able to say, I think I get what you mean. Yeah. But if you're making medical decisions, fuck that, man.
Yeah. I mean, to be clear, relatively recently, I was in kind of a spot. I wasn't feeling very well. And I was actually at a church. And the person there asked, like, oh, you okay? How's this going? All of this. And I was like, yeah, no, it's going to be fine. They're like, oh, okay, well, if there's anything I can do to help, there's this, and God bless. And they left. And on that one, I can't really be like, well, what you're assuming, because it's like I'm in a church.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah,
but
it's whatever. And I just came from perhaps the most religious wedding that I've ever been to.
Ooh,
yeah.
You're gonna have to dish later.
Yeah, the prayers per minute was pretty high.
Ooh, ppm.
It was
but Mo.
Yes.
We hope everything works out for you, and we're really glad you found the show. And it is so refreshing to hear somebody as upbeat as you being able to look at that, and be able to move forward in a positive way. I think that exemplifies that absurd man that I continuously reference back to with Camus, right? You're looking at the reality of a thing and you're saying, I'm going to move forward. And that is so freaking beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, well, like it is not easy. Like life is just hard as fudge.
Yeah.
But this is the only life that we got.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we try to make it a little livable? Livable.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
So, and by the way, thank you to you, Eric. Thank you, Jamie, because you have given me like a lot of reason why I am an atheist.
Oh my
and
God.
Thanks you for the big community that is like the ACA, like Perfect, like Hanabi, like Cheez-Its, like everybody that is in the server. Thank you so much.
Always. Always. Thank you.
It is just breaking my heart.
I thought we were gonna not cry at the end of this call.
Dude, I'm trying real hard.
Sorry.
No, the back is sending you love rings.
Yeah.
Can we get a camera to the back, please?
Yeah.
Can we switch over to them? Because those people back there, you're seeing Silas and Mark and all of the crew that comes in. When we finish a show, we talk about it, we care, and we're so glad that the efforts that we're making, we're able to reach you. It's life affirming. Thank you so much. Big hug, man.
You too. I mean, you know what I mean.
I do. All right. Well, you take care and keep in touch, and I'm glad that you're interacting in the community.
Okay.
All right.
You too.
Thanks for calling in, and I'm glad we could
You
help.
rock, homie. You rock.
You do too, buddy.
You go, Glen Coco. We got this.
All right.
Hey.
Bye.
Wow.
Together we can.
We've been getting a few donations. Hussein, aka, donated $20 and said that it's a humble donation for the good work the ACA has been doing for us. Thank you. We've gotten a few other donations that have come in. I saw one for $6.66, and that was funny. But
And we get $66.60.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That just.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, let's move to a theist caller. Let's disagree with somebody. Let's talk to
Mohammed
in the Middle East. How are you doing, Mohammed?
How are you, Eric? I'm doing fine. How are you, Eric? And how are you, Jamie?
Oh, we're doing pretty well. I feel all warm and fuzzy right now.
Why? I wrote before I go into the topics I wrote to you about. I want because I listened to the previous two callers. There were many points that were brought up. Some of them I agree. I think I should just give a very short, brief criticism of what was said in just way or another. Then I go into the topics I spoke about. And I'll try to speak just for the benefit, for educational purposes.
Yeah. Let's handle them one at a time. That way we can, address it if needed.
Yes. I listened to, for example, when you said, for example, about the Big Bang. I don't believe in the Big Bang, personally. And I do believe that the world probably was in a dense state. But when people say Big Bang, the common term that is used today, as accepted today, it goes beyond that. It is a statement that space, time, and matter. They define the universe as the totality of space, time, and matter. They say that all of this, as if it's emerged out of some singularity or a point before which there was no time, no space. This I reject. I find it to be a meaningless statement. What I find to be acceptable is that outside in the external world, there exist particulars. There is nothing beyond these particulars. So when I say universe, I am speaking about the particulars outside in the external world, and then that would be.
Do you mean
whether those things have meaning or not?
Okay.
And then we can.
Hold on. So when you're talking about particulars, are you talking about everything that exists outside of yourself, or yourself included, or just trying to make sure that I'm on board with you?
In the external real world, as opposed to in the mental, in our minds, as to do with our knowledge. When we say, for example,
do you think that? When we say, do you think that your mind is not made of physical things?
Particulates?
No. The mind itself is an attribute of us. So we have ability to reason. But I'm speaking about
attribute
what to do with
of
our
us.
knowledge.
Hold on, attribute of us, so that we can reason. I don't understand.
For example, when we look at a tree, we understand that the tree it is an object which has height. For example, it has motion.
Yeah.
Those are attributes: motion, height, color, and whatever attributes there are. Those are attributes, and then those attributes they exist in the object, which is the tree. You see the point, Eric?
Okay, so
when
Mohammed, real quick, would you say that the mind is an emergent property of the brain? Like that the mind is basically a thing that the brain does?
I would say it is an attribute. I don't know whether I don't really know how to think of it in that way. I don't know, but I know that it is an existent property of an object. What is that object? It is the human being. You see, so he has mind. He has reason. You see,
yes.
He has reason.
But I would also say that those things, right? That cognition is a physical thing. It's not. Cognition. Yeah, it's not a descriptor that we're adding onto it, right? You're actually having synapses in your brain firing and communicating with each other to be able to reach these different parts of your brain that relate to.
Eric, yes. Basically, Eric. Basically, I'm saying that there is whatever you look in the external world. If it exists, it will either be an object, a spatio-temporal object, or a property existing, a particular property existing in that particular object. So there is nothing beyond that in the at all. So, for example, I'll just give you an example. Platonic, the integers, do those exist in the external world? I don't believe that.
Yeah, sure.
Why do I not believe that? Because the number 1 or the number 2, they are neither objects nor properties of objects. What are they? They are simply mental constructs. They are in the mind. They are to do with our knowledge.
They're concepts. But what I will say is you've described a couple of times attributes existing in the object, and I would say that's potentially a point of disagreement.
But let's move forward. Sorry. Or did you want to?
Yes, but we move forward quite quickly. But what I'm saying is that whenever I'm trying to, I'm really trying to help the people realize what I, alhamdulillah, do realize, that there are particulars in the external world, and that those particulars begin to exist. And that whenever we see a tree, whenever we see a nightingale, whenever we see a bird, whenever we see the sun, the moon, that should have a direct connection. It should always immediately take us to know that there is a God. But
why
do they lose this? Why is that? Because they are created.
Hold on.
They have a beginning.
How do you know that they are created?
How do we know that we are created? This question would have been intuitive, but today it's not accepted intuitively. So we have to go into rational arguments for those who don't accept it intuitively.
Yeah.
Yes, we have to give reasons. Basically, it comes down to particulars. All the particulars in this universe, in this world, I use world instead of universe, because universe is used today as the totality of time, space, and matter, and I disagree with that definition. So I use the term world to refer to the existent particles. Okay. So when we say that there is a tree, when we say that there is a tree or a human being or a bird, we understand that it is a particular, and that this particular is either a composite or basic and fundamental.
Okay. So hold on. Let's cut this off at its base here.
Yeah.
Because we can mess around with all of these different, but I really want to come to the base.
Yes.
So let's say I point at a tree. Hold on, Mohammed. Let's say I point at a tree and say this tree exists, therefore I am God. What? That would
be a false statement, because you are created just like the tree is created.
You don't know that. I created myself.
Must be an eternal...
No, you don't know that. I can just say I created myself.
If you say you created yourself, that would make you created, and that is, although impossible, it would still make you created. I'm saying that there must be an uncreated, independent, eternal existence.
Prove it.
Above.
Prove it. Show me that can even exist, Mohammed. Right? Can you point to anything that you can actually show exists that is outside of that? Go ahead.
What I'm saying is that every particular in this world we see around us, no matter how small that particular is, no matter how big that particular is, all of those particulars we observe, I use the word perish into other things. They do not only rearrange, you see, they are also limited, because you cannot rearrange something which is fundamental.
Hold on. How do you define something as fundamental, Mohammed? Because you keep referencing fundamental. Tell me what fundamental means.
Fundamental means it is not made up of anything smaller.
Okay. Can you name something that is fundamental?
We agree that the quarks are fundamental. We agree that, for example, the quarks are fundamental.
So you're saying quarks, and being the smallest things that we've been able to identify thus far, would appear to be fundamental. Would you agree that if we found something smaller, then we would need to change that definition?
The problem is, Eric, is that whenever we go into find something, I'm not denying that there could be something smaller.
Right.
It seems to me possible that God could create something out of that. You see?
No, it's not possible. Mohammed, no, it is not possible. It is not
I'm not saying
possible.
it is possible.
You just said it's possible that a God. You said it is possible that a God could have created something out of that.
No, I said I do not see how it is rationally impossible for God to create something out of that.
Because
how it is rationally impossible.
Because when you're talking about rational statements, you're talking about things that you're able to include there. Your God doesn't get a spot at the grown-ups table until you can prove that that God exists at all. You can't attribute that God to things without showing that it even exists.
I can come back to exactly to this point. Okay, do you accept, Eric, please, and just I'm really trying to explain to people what I know.
Yeah.
Do you accept that a thing is either an object? For example, you say an object like a particle, or it is, for example, an attribute of that particle, such as motion, such as let's say its height.
No. So in logic,
what is this?
Right. So in logic, you take each proposition individually, right? So something is either A or not A. So either something has this property or does not have this property. So otherwise you get two false dichotomies, right?
That is correct.
And so, no, I'm not going to say either this or this other thing, because that would be stacking things. What I'm going to say is that either X or either A or not A.
So you do accept, for example, that it is either independent, it exists independently of, like as if it is separate, like it is time, it is existing as if as if like an object, and as if a physical object, like a particle, or it is of a class which is not an object.
Okay, so you have things that exist, right? That would be A, and then you have not things that exist, right? So if we separated that, then okay, so there's premise one, right? Question, are you claiming that not things that exist is something that exists? Because, set theory would tell me that you're wrong.
No. I am claiming that all what exists is either an object or not an object. Do you accept this premise?
Okay.
You must accept it.
Yeah, okay.
You must accept it. You cannot not accept it.
Yeah.
So when you say that it is when you say that it is not an object, okay, what do you understand from this? That it exists not independently. That it must exist dependently. Or
No. Nope. Not even a little bit. No, because if you say that it must exist, then in the set of things that exists, it now belongs in the other category. The second you start to give anything about the existence of a thing, if you're separating it between things that exist and things that don't exist, then you're moving those things over, and now it does not belong in the things that don't exist category.
For example, we understand that things either begin to exist or do not begin to exist. If they begin to exist, then they are not eternal, and if they are eternal, they do not begin to exist.
No.
And these are
Nope. Again.
This is a very clear sentence.
No, it's not. And again, Mohammed, you keep reading things into it, Mohammed. So if you say something is eternal,
we can leave this, but we can just go with my thought process. Maybe someone will benefit from this.
No, we're gonna.
My thought process.
Because Mohammed, I'm saying this in the nicest possible way, because I don't know if this is you, right? It could be somebody else, but I'm going to say this for anybody that calls in. If somebody says, "Let me talk," just because, and then they, let's say they just, stick their heads up their own butts, there's nothing useful to it.
I swear to God, not at all, Eric.
So let's
trying to perhaps you could accept this premise later. So why would you lose all what comes after it? Maybe this.
Because if it's built on nothing, then why accept any? You actually need to provide evidence.
Do you accept that it is either one or not one? That it is either there is one apple or there is not one apple.
Yes, that would be logically consistent, right? A or not
what
A.
What does it mean for a thing to be not? Yes. What does it mean for a thing to be not one, and not one apple? What does it mean?
Well, so if you're just taking this, logically outside of the universe, then, or out, just in pure logic, then that's nothing. It's not something else. It's either an apple or nothing, right?
It's either an apple or nothing, or there could be.
Or it's everything.
There could be 3 apples. There could be 4 apples. Yes.
Hold on, I've got somebody who's disagreeing with me. Do you wanna pop in? Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Dillahunty. Yeah, you did it now. All right, what do you got? Did you have earbuds in ready just in case?
I put them in a second ago.
Oh, look at you.
This mic's muted. There we go. I put them in a second ago just
Ever
in case.
professional.
Hey, Mohammed, how are you?
How are you doing, Matt? How are you doing?
I'm good. I would agree that everything is one or not one, but your follow-up question, which is what does what not one mean? The answer is it's not defined until you define it, because A is not one, apple is not one, chair is not one. And so just knowing that something is not one only gives us one potential characteristic.
Yes. But I'm saying that it is either one or not one. I mean that there is you cannot have contradictions. For example,
I agree, but earlier you've given a couple examples in order to try to make this point, and you were like everything is either an object or not an object, and of course I would agree that's an exhaustive mutually exclusive. But the things that are not objects, we haven't in that discussion. When you say everything is either an object or not an object, I agree that's the case, but that doesn't tell me anything about what not an object is or how it fits into anything. And earlier when you were talking about there are objects and there are properties of objects, for example, you were looking at like a tree, and one of the things I was pointing out is like just go to just the leaf of a tree. Does it have a property that is green?
I don't. I accept that there is a meaning for it to be green. There is a meaning, but I accept that it must have height, width, motion. There might be forces acting. It might be acting with forces. These are all attributes or actions of the leaf.
They're not actions of the leaf. The fact that the leaf moves in a wind is not an action of the leaf. It is the result of an interaction. It is a result of an interaction between the wind and the leaf. So it's not a property of the leaf. That's the point that I was objecting to earlier.
That's really good.
The motion of the leaf is either inertial, which is relative. I don't accept it to be existent, as in because inertial motion is relative. Or it is a non-inertial motion, and that I claim it is existent. It's an attribute. It's of the class of attributes. So when you have acceleration, there is something.
You'd have to describe motion, because for all we know right now, you're just saying, well, a leaf starts at this size and it grows, and that's motion. Well, that's a natural process that's fully defined. That is a function of the constituent parts of the leaf, but I don't see how any of this gets us to a God.
So let's go to let's get to height, for example. Height. Do you accept that height doesn't exist separate of the tree? You can't have height of a tree which is not in the tree. So
there's a category of things that you keep dumping in without ever defining, and those are abstract concepts. And so height, certainly we would look at any extant object in the universe and say that it has length, width, and height. But that's just to say that it occupies space in 3 directions, and the measurement of the height is something that we just make up. I mean, measurements are arbitrary. There's still, you can get down to an absolute, which is why we changed what the second is relative to an atom, an atomic decay, as opposed to just, the time of a clap. So would I exist that height doesn't exist? So this is an abstract concept that is descriptive of observations, but no, height doesn't exist as a thing.
I mean my height as in size. Forgive me.
Okay.
As in size of height times width times as in volume.
Again, you're still talking there. Again, you're still talking about something that can be measured relative to a standard, not as in an absolute sense.
But we don't deny that a tree has some. The ruler has a length. You cannot deny this, Matt. Really.
Oh, I could deny it all day long, but it would sound foolish. The point is, the fact that a ruler has a length is an abstraction. It is us looking at this and saying, this is an item that exists in space and it has some length. And in a ruler's case in particular, we have defined that length under a completely arbitrary principle. But yes, the ruler, length is a property of the ruler. How we actually quantitatively look at that length is separate.
I'm not speaking about the abstract measure of, for example, what we extract from the particulars. We can extract from the particulars a measure, which is, for example, a common measure, which is, for example, a cubit, for example, or the meter. You see, but I'm speaking about the things that exist. They have measure.
And I'm going to ask this as politely as possible. I'm going to ask this as. So what?
So what? Yes. I am trying to show that there is a distinction. There is a clear distinction, okay, between what I'm going with this is that there is a distinction between the eternal object, which is the creator, and I'm setting the themes so that it becomes easy to understand that the creator is.
No, you're not. Stop.
Yes.
Stop talking.
Hey, that's for atheist experience.
Well, if I say stop and I get a yes, and I can hear him continuing to talk in my ear, I'm just saying stop talking long enough so that I can get this in.
I gotcha.
Here's the thing. We were talking about objects and their properties, and you shifted to include something that is completely secondary, which is this notion of an eternal object. How on earth could you ever conclude that such an object actually exists? You have no eternal object to investigate. You don't even know if eternal is possible. So why did we go from a conversation about trees and leaves and their properties, objects and their properties, to this eternal property? All I'm trying to get to is what's the point? And if all you're going to do is assert that there is an eternal thing, then we're wasting time, because that should not convince anybody.
And it shouldn't convince you, Mohammed.
I claim that the creator exists. Yes, Matt, I claim that the creator exists because of his signs I observe around me.
Okay, hold on.
So give us those.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with what we've been talking about for the last 18 minutes.
Yeah.
Right?
I understand.
Yeah, so
going to space and time.
So let's just put a pin in this one, because up until this point, all you've done is given a argument that takes you nowhere and does not define any kind of deity. So that one, right? Listen back to this. Compare that against what you were saying, and then after that, when you, I think it might be a lag or a delay.
It might be,
but compare this to it, and then either A, right, call back and say this is what was missing, or B, if that was all of it, that is a really, really silly thing to believe, and you should toss that out because it does not get you anywhere.
I just want to say, Eric, that basically, I believe in the Creator because of his signs, but there are this is intuitive, but there are rational.
It's not intuitive.
Premises. Undeniable. No, for me.
Okay, who gives a rat's ass if you have intuited something? What we care about is not your. Oh my God. What we care about is not your personal intuitions, because your personal intuitions could never be a sound, rational foundation for anyone's belief, including yours. So if you're going to make an argument for the existence of God, you cannot waste a bunch of time talking about objects and their property only to say, I intuit God from what I observe.
We have
the reason, Matt, I believe in God is because I observe things to have beginning and to be dependent.
So what?
It is impossible.
So what?
It is impossible. You cannot have an infinite regress of dependency.
Nobody said you can't. Nobody said you can. But nobody said you can here. But you don't know that you can't.
I know for sure that I can't.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Nobody does. This is the thing. Here you are claiming, Mohammed, you are claiming to know for sure something which is in philosophy unknown.
Well, hold on.
We have no way to explore and investigate this subject at all. The best we can say is, to the best of our knowledge, we don't understand how this could work. But the fact that something has a beginning, even if it does not in and of itself tell you what that beginning is. Your intuitions about what are potential explanations for the origin of the universe and the origin of life are completely irrelevant unless you show a foundation. And then they become no longer intuitions. They become an evidence-based case for a creator.
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
All right. So, Mohammed?
Nonetheless, please, just the last point. I claim that every person has a set of primary premises. He has a set of primary premises. They could be for a person primary, for a person they could not be primary. They should be demonstrated.
Literally, stop. Listen to what you just said. Every person has a primary set of assumptions. They could be primary or they could be not primary. I mean, you're literally dancing around and contradicting yourself within the same sentence.
Not at all. It's a relative matter. Self-evidence is a relative matter. Self-evidence is a relative matter. For a person, something could be self-evident. For another, it could be not self-evident.
And now you're talking about something that is completely different from the thing that I just objected to you contradicting yourself on.
Yeah, that's making zero sense, Mohammed.
This was about you simultaneously claiming that they could be primary or not primary, and now you're talking about self-evident. Self-evident wasn't even a part of the. Oh my God. No, I'm done talking to you. You can talk to Eric.
No worries. Thank you for coming in, man.
Sure.
We'll get Jimmy back in here. I
Yes.
appreciate you, brother. All right, Mohammed.
Yes, Eric.
Hey, man.
Eric,
So-
it's very easy things. You want to speak about something else? I can go into the reason.
No. So here's the thing: is we've got a couple other callers that I really want to get to, and I think that this is a conversation that I would love to spend another large amount of time talking about. And so I absolutely welcome you to call back in. And
yes, but listen, I really have every time I call, I really can't go on like this because I'm paying a lot of money.
Oh no, Mohammed, here we can fix that. We can fix that. Ooh, we can fix that. Okay, can you go to the Atheist Experience website?
Okay,
atheistexperience.com.
Yeah, there's a way to call over the website.
So, yeah, on the left side of the screen, up toward the top.
I tried to call over the website, but it doesn't. It's as if it's not connecting. I'm not sure that it is.
So if
we'll check on our side.
Yeah, keep in touch with us by email, and we'll see if we can get you those instructions, and also see if we can get you off the phone relatively quickly so that we don't.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can
I just say one last thing?
Go for it, man.
Yes. Whenever we forget, whenever we forget this primary fitrah, this primary intuition, we will fall into cycles of going deeper and deeper. We be looking for things when the truth is in front of us. So we have to try to I really wish you could listen to me more because there is so much to unpack. When I say revelation, Eric, I say revelation is the foundation on which that gets us back to the firm rational principles.
See, and I actually
arguments.
So
Mohammed,
which helps the person go back to the truth.
Actually, I would say that you could not be more wrong. I think that actually, if you actually tried, you could not be more wrong. And I'll tell you why. Because it's not revelation that got us to the world that we're at today, right? It was investigation. It was not taking somebody just stating something and saying, this is just the way it is, so you got to take it that way. It was us saying, no, we want to follow wherever the evidence leads, and then continuing to learn about the world around us without trying to assert any preconceived notions, right? And so if you say that is what gets us to move forward as a society, no, it gets us back to the Stone Age. It's the reason why we had these times in history when we would vastly regress was when people took on that exact mode of thinking. Not only is it wrong, it is detrimental to the world we live in.
It could be very well that we are living in a time when the revelation, some people know, okay, the authentic revelation, some people know, has not yet been, become, the vast majority of people are not aware of it.
Cool.
So
when they're aware of it and you can show it, you can prove it, call back. All right. We're going to move on to the next call. All right. Take care, buddy.
All right, call back.
Yep.
Okay,
hey, Jamie.
So, hey.
I missed you, man.
I'm back. Don't worry.
Your dad came in and filled in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I'm glad you're here.
Hear about it for another year. Oh, you stepped out on your show, and I had to step in and take care of it for you.
You know what? We're lucky to have Matt. I do want to get to a couple more callers.
Before we do that, I will say that someone in the chat was joking that it looks like I have allergies from looking at the trees too much. It's not that. It's also, don't worry. I haven't become allergic to unsupported arguments. So I can still do this show.
No worries.
Did you want to actually, before we take more calls, honor our top 5 patrons?
Absolutely. So Chris Bradley is our newest top patron.
Who is?
And Chris Bradley has not only become our top patron, but is our top patron by 5 times more than last week. Than our top last week.
I was about to say, I actually know his name and his contributions.
So
5 times.
Yeah.
Wow.
So most of our top donations have been at $20, and that's freaking amazing. And we have one at 40 and one at 100. I mean, this is full transparency. That is freaking amazing.
Yeah.
And my jaw hit the floor. I don't know how to express my gratitude in a way that would be enough.
It makes me feel like we've arrived a little bit.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
So Chris Bradley, Dale Smith, Nando Gonzalez, David Arland, and Alex Watts. You are our top 5 patrons. Thank you so much. If you'd like to be mentioned on the air, please consider becoming a patron. Go to patreon.com/talkheathen-to-me. That's patreon.com/talkheathen-to-me. If you're one of our top 5 patrons, we'll thank you on the air. If you put a silly name or something like that for us to say instead, I'll read that too.
Say it. Yeah.
So
asterisk.
Let's move on. Let's move on to the next call.
I was going to say, when you say that Patreon, you got to do patreon.com/talkheathen-to-me. You got to do like a little
talk heathen to me.
Yeah,
all right.
Talk heathen to me.
So I just want to reiterate that we are not moving to Patreon content. We are taking another call.
Yep.
But before we do that, I just want to remind people.
Show ain't over yet.
Number 1, we need those clips. We need them real bad. Please. Submissions at atheist-community.org of your favorite clips of the atheist experience this year, because they're going to go in the clip show. And number 2 is the newsletter. You're going to have the chance. Please check out the newsletter. It is absolutely amazing. We've had some incredible volunteers, people on our social media, people who are hosts, and just it's incredible. So please check out Thinking Aloud. It is our newsletter, 24 pages this month, and it is free. So you can absolutely go to the link in the description of this show. You can go to aca.activehosted.com/f/1, I believe. All right. So you ready to move on?
Yes, but before we do, I would like to say, are you ready to move on? Yes, except no.
Okay. What's up?
Which is that for people that are members of should that just be a surprise for them for December?
Yes.
Yep. Never mind.
Yep. That's going to go out next. We can probably talk about it next week.
Yep.
All right. So let's move on.
Suspense has been built.
So
kind of.
Let's talk to Nathan, I think.
Okay.
Nathan in San Francisco. You're live with Eric and Jamie.
Hey, buddy.
Nathan, you're on the air. All right, we're going to pop you back on hold and hope that you come back and move on to... No, let's go to Rashaad.
You want to just... Because it won't get another... Okay.
Nah, it's okay. Rashaad in Mississippi. You're live with Eric and Jamie.
Yes. Hey, guys.
Hey.
So, wow, the Muslim guy. Whew.
You know what? We don't get enough Muslim people calling in.
Yeah.
And you know what is also funny is we've been getting, actually I've gotten 2 different ways that people have, one person called in to me this week to talk to me, and we got an email of people saying, both of them were Christians who watched the show, and we deeply appreciate it. And they think that's amazing that if you don't agree with us, you can still watch and still engage in a meaningful, constructive way. But what they said was, how come you have all of these people who have no idea what they're talking about? Yeah. You're only picking the Christians who can't engage. And my response is, guys, these are the only people who call. These are the only ones who call. If you want to have that high-level discussion, if you want to call and apologetics, if you want to call and all of these different topics that you want to get involved in at a higher level, freaking call in, because we will take your call. But up until that point, we're only going to take the people who call in. So, I'm sorry, I had to respond to that because I had to say the same thing to both of them, and they were just floored. They're like, "Oh, we thought you were just selectively picking, inept callers." And
we will take your call.
No, actually, a lot of the callers that we get on are very emblematic of the people who I went to church with, and who people should see because, it exists out there, and often we're engaging with these people, every day. Out of all of the people watching, there are neighbors, there are family members, there are church elders who will call in and say these kinds of things. It's not ridiculous to them, and being able to see how you can engage and that it's not something that is beyond, being able to talk about is important. But Rashaad, I've been talking over you. What did you want to talk about?
Well, my question is, how do you feel about the cracks that are starting to appear in the walls separating church and state? For example, here in Mississippi, here in Mississippi, our governor just had it where he has embraced Christianity as our state religion. In God We Trust is on our emergency vehicles now, on our tags. If you don't want it on there, you got to pay extra money. Let's see, Arkansas just had the 10 Commandments monument. The conversation of should 10 Commandments be in front of schools or displayed on schools is starting to be talked about again. Is prayer in schools is also starting to be talked about again. And here at my own college, which I go to a Christian college.
I'm sorry to hear that.
But yes, it's awful. Philosophy classes, all apologetics. But recently they have a group that wants to present Christian doctrine to the public schools of Mississippi and wants to argue for that to be a thing. So my question is, what are some steps that we as atheists, free thought people, skeptics can do to help combat this budding theocratic thinking?
So the Freedom from Religion Foundation is going to be a fantastic resource. In order to have lawsuits, you need standing. And it sounds like you're in a situation to either help find people with that standing or to have that standing yourself. Additionally, there's, the
American Atheist.
There's also American Atheist. There's also
Jeff was actually here in the studio as one of the lawyers for American Atheists.
Yeah, I was here. I knew that. I just wasn't in my chair.
No worries.
I gave Jeff my chair.
That's how much I care. I just wanted to make sure he was mentioned. He was in the show.
That's how much I care, Eric. There's also a small organization in Austin that does a lot of great work. I forget what their name is. They'll take your donation as well. However, you can also reach out to the Satanic Temple if you want, because when there's cracks in that wall, they like to run through as well.
I actually don't even feel like it's a crack. I don't even feel like they're cracks anymore. It feels like a suggestion.
No, I was going to say, there have been cracks for years, and it's not so much a wall as it is a dam, and damn, some shit be flooding through.
Yeah. So what can you do, Rashaad? Yeah. Here's what you can do. Are you ready?
Okay.
As a student,
I'm ready.
As a student, you can gather other people, and they don't have to be atheists. There are plenty of believers in different faiths who would agree that when you try to take down the separation of church and state, what you're doing is you're creating the foundation for a theocracy, and that is not something that is beneficial to everyone. And it doesn't matter what faith you are, what it will do is it'll create first and second class citizens, right? You can create that. If you're busy, right, what you can do is you can find another organization like Jamie was listing, right, that is either local or national and support them, right? You can help by sending money. If you can't send money, totally okay. With organizations like these, it's help. It's helping hands. It's if you have some extra time, work a phone bank. I mean, if you want to talk specifically about religion, get in touch with Recovering from Religion and join their hotline project because they need.
I didn't even know that was a thing. Wait
It's
a minute.
fucking
There's a thing
amazing.
called Recovering from Religion?
Oh, it's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
So Recovering from Religion was started by Dr. Daryl Ray, and Dr. Daryl Ray has also done some amazing other projects. He did the Pastor Project? No, the Clergy Project, and then the Clergy Project.
That was no. Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't think that was.
Oh,
Daryl.
was that Dale?
No,
See, I fucked it up.
someone
All right.
else did that. Yeah.
No worries.
I mean, I'm happy
Okay.
to take credit for lots of things as well, but
Secular therapy
is what he.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Recovering from Religion, well, I'm just going to get to the base of it, right? There's the Hotline Project. And what the Hotline Project is it is an amazing, see, I'm blushing. I can't believe I messed that up. The whole audience went, no,
yeah.
that's not it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the
I'm
live
sorry.
chat's like, wow, the audience jumped down.
Yeah, no, that's all right. I'm happy to be wrong. But what you can do is become a peer support member. And I volunteered for this, and I've seen that you get people all over the place that just want to call in and talk to somebody, and that can make the biggest difference, right? And you have access to this massive database that you can help plug them in wherever they're at or help give them the resources. So, secular therapy puts you in touch with therapists who are not going to push a religious agenda. Go ahead.
And what I will say is, you're asking for these resources. People ask for these resources all the time, and people have trouble finding them all the time. Everyone knows that it's Christmas time. There's going to be church Santas in front of everything where you can give your money. It's easy to give to churches. It's difficult to help out secular folks like you and me. So having these resources, even if you're less interested in the Clergy Project, means, among other things, that you can pass those resources along as well. Mm-hmm. It sounded like from the beginning of your call, Rashaad, that you were interested specifically in sort of political style issues of policy, like separation in church and state.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't like to get political, but
I mean,
the religious part is very important.
Yeah. So what I will say is, American Atheist does a fantastic job and is doing a fantastic job in focusing on local engagement, right? So one of the things that Jim wants to do, Jim Helton, the field organizer for American Atheist, wants to do is not just have regional directors and not just have state directors, but have assistant state directors for every major metropolitan city in a state. Mm-hmm. So I don't know where in Mississippi you're currently located. You can certainly withhold that information in order to not be surrounded by
I'm right
pitchforks.
here in Jackson.
Oh, okay.
Right here in Jackson.
So they may very well not have an assistant state director for Jacksonville. I'm not sure whether you want to be a person that is literally a business card carrying atheist.
And if
you could do that, and they give you all of the resources that you need to get involved and make change happen.
And if you want to be hands-on but don't want to get your name out there are other things. The Beyond Belief Network from Foundation Beyond Belief is a
writing these down.
Huge group that goes out and they're able to kind of touch base, and that's a really, really awesome group to support. And at the very least, right, if none of those things are doable, you can still help.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to get the word out as much as we can, but we can only get to so many people. So it really this is the part where I say like and subscribe, because if you share it out, if you subscribe, if you hit like, we move up in the YouTube algorithm and we're able to reach more people. And that can be a way, right?
Yeah.
Leaving a good review on Google Play and iTunes.
Yeah.
These are different ways that we can get to reach more people. And it really does help. It really helps.
Yeah. That and
really trying to do that.
Yeah, contrary to popular belief, people that are very hardcore, the earth is 6,000 years old, fundamentalists, do deconvert. That's a thing that happens. And who knows, you spread the word, someone else in Mississippi hears this, lived there their whole life, they've never heard our opinions or thoughts on any of this, and then boom, they start their own podcast, and it's better than ours, and then they take over.
Well,
there's
room
take
for
over
everybody.
and we go bankrupt. Yeah, there's room for everybody, and the movement is growing.
And yeah.
So what is it? What is there something more specifically that we can tell you? Because right now we just keep throwing out this really long laundry list of everything.
Well, I mean, you're giving me what I really asked for. I didn't really ask for a specific example. I just wanted to know how I could get involved. I've been wanting to do it. It's just I didn't know where to start. So I was like, okay, let's go to the guys that have been doing this for a while.
So what I didn't want to do was like, oh, okay, here's a long list of things you can do to get involved, and then you feel like, yeah, I can get involved, but don't have all right, step 1, go to nameofwebsite.org, sign up here, get involved this, like, I want to help you. I'm not just going to train you for the race. I'm going to tie your shoes for you. Let's get this going.
Yeah. And we can use volunteers too.
Yes.
I mean, we're always needing volunteers.
Step 1, graduate. Step 2, move to Austin, volunteer here, because damn, we need volunteers.
I don't know what the hell he's talking about, but you can volunteer right where you are, no matter where you are. Because we can absolutely use people online as well, Jamie.
We need people in person as well, Eric.
Oh, I know. But we have an incredible group of volunteers online. And, the more hands that are in there helping, the less the burden. So definitely check that out. And I misspoke again. I'm really having a rough time today, Jamie. Somebody said, Eric, are you happy to be wrong or happy to be corrected? I'm happy to be corrected and learn when I'm wrong so that I can not do that again.
Yeah.
Good call.
It had been long enough that I was going to bring it up after the show, but I was going to say, okay, you can be happy to be wrong, but aren't you happier when you find right? Like,
I said the exact opposite of what I was thinking, and I'm really glad I got called. Yeah. I'm happy to be corrected. I'm not happy to be wrong. I want to learn when I'm wrong so that I can adjust that and be better for it. Rashaad?
Yes, I'm still here.
Give us an email, shoot us an email, mail@talkheathen.com. Let us know which way you went and what you're up to, because I'd love to kind of track you in your progress with this, especially if you're brand new to it. If you have any questions or if there's anything we can help you out along the way, just let us know, okay?
Okay, most deaf.
Excellent.
Yeah. And if you can, go spread the good word, not the God word.
Okay. The real word. The one and only.
That's right. The word of Eric.
Go spread the truth that there is no God.
All right.
Oh, no. There's a guy in the chat you need to prove that claim. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Take care, buddy.
But all right, guys. Thank you.
That's for sure.
All right. Bye. You were mumbling.
I should say go spread the truth that there isn't Jesus, because that's a very specific.
No, the way you said it was very catchy, and
yeah. Well, no, I mean,
okay.
But as far as defensible statements, it's clearer whatever.
I do. So I try my best to watch the chat, and I have seen Caitlin R. and TARDIS Chick doing an amazing job of moderating. Thank you so much. Yes. And I also want to say thank you to the people behind the scenes, the people who are running the computers, who are keeping us going out, who are doing all of this work. And it is so thankless because they're not, always appreciated. Let's get a round of applause.
And so thank you. And also
we have Katie, who actually did the lines and screened the calls.
Oh, I didn't know she was call screening today.
Hey. We have Mark, who's our producer, and we have Silas, who is running audio. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody on the other side of the glass. Let's get some love rings up. Let's try this again. Oh, I'm off my game.
Yeah, I know. Took you 2 tries to get the love rings from Magic.
All right.
Which is how they work. Bring
it in. Jamie, I missed you. And I'm so glad that you're back.
Oh, you mean last week?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like,
No, I love doing the show with you, man.
Yeah.
So, to those of you who don't believe.
You have community here. Actually, before we go out.
Oh.
I missed your username in the chat. Send an email to... mail@talkheathen. We're gonna find an atheist or non-believing group in Colorado Springs, I think it was. Send us an email. I'll help you out with that.
Contact Recovering from Religion Foundation. They can also put you in touch.
All right.
Okay, those of you who don't believe,
or me, that's fine. Yeah, that's okay. You have community here, and for those of you that do, we don't hate you.
We just think you're wrong. You're almost there. You're almost there. We just had a couple more words.
I was hoping that I was going to be able to rush through all of it before you said anything. You're going to be like, for those of you that don't believe, come on, Jamie. I was going to be like,
I think